We were friends once, Clark.
It's the only reason you're still alive.
Thought it was because I beat you.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to NerdRant. I have not done one of these in quite some time, so while I am stuck in quarantine, as you can tell by the hat containing my way too much curly hair, and the beard because I ran out of razors and I don't want to leave my house if I don't have to, I am still stuck in quarantine at the time of recording, and I'm very much hoping that at the time of viewing, that is no longer the case. But I'm not entirely hopeful. But you may have also noticed on the channel I've been putting out a lot more videos since I am currently unemployed. That is how I've been spending my time until I hopefully get my job back. I figured I would finally actually get ahead on my channel and get things back on track. So that has happened. So one of the comics that is coming along, or one of the comics I'm covering, is a Batman and Superman crossover comic. So while I was on that subject, I did have other stuff planned to go to be like my on-camera stuff for the month, but some things got brought up to me and some things that I noticed that were bothering me, that I felt that I needed to do something. I needed to do a rant about. Hence why we're here. So Superman and Batman working together and being friends is important to me. Like, one of my favorite comics that I've read within the past few years was like the bachelor party thing that Batman had when he was going to be getting married to Selina Kyle before issue 50, where they ended up not. But the issue where Selina and Bruce went out for like just a night of fun with Lois and Clark was just it was one of the most wholesome slice of life comics I've read in a long time, and it's just one of my favorites I've ever read. So that kind of stuff is important to me because it's important for those two to be friends because they are the icons of DC. Like them with Wonder Woman are, they're the Trinity. But those two have been so popular for so long, but they're always, especially as of late, they're pinned against each other as not as much friends as they are enemies, or at least they're just like okay with each other. They understand that each other is necessary, something like that. And that's not right. That's not who they are. And like one thing that consistently sticks with me that is what like indicates what's wrong with the public's view of Superman and Batman right now is in this clip right here.
Just like Clark's friend.
Oh, you mean, I feel like they're more frenemies.
Because Superman and Batman are not frenemies. They're definitely not enemies. They're friends. But because of how things have been going just lately, so people love to have their heroes fight. I like to see our heroes fight. Like, I was definitely thrilled to watch Superman and Batman beat the crap out of each other in Dark Knight Returns. And that's totally okay. That's fine to do. But it's being hammered down. Like, Injustice, brilliant run of comic and brilliant video games. And a brilliant concept for a video game to get our heroes to fight each other. Like, why would they be beating each other up? So, yeah, brilliant idea. I'm using brilliant too many times. It's very clever. It's very well written to do that because, why else would Superman and Batman actually be trying to, they even in there never try to kill each other, but why would they be so at odds with each other? So it was a good story, and the comic line that went with it was very, very good. I read every single issue, and I even covered a good chunk of it on this channel. So it's like, again, like I said, I get it. I get having our heroes fight because I'm like equally, I'm equally invested in that as a lot of other people. But here's the problem. What we see in comics has been too influenced by the films because the films are their big project. That's Warner Brothers' big project and Disney's big project. So we see a lot of the comic books be influenced by the movies, and that's sometimes good. Like, for instance, like the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, you couldn't get me to pick up a Guardians of the Galaxy comic before the films came out. I mean, like, I'm familiar with them. I've seen some of their stuff. I've seen them in crossovers, but I had never actually read a single issue of theirs because anytime that I'd seen them, I was like, man, those guys seem boring. And they have certainly, I think, at least for me personally, have improved from how the films have handled them. And we've seen influence of that. And that there's good to that. And while the comics haven't been too influenced by Superman and Batman, I fear that they could be in terms of how they've been seen in the movies. Because stuff like what I just showed you in the Supergirl clip, that's how they're starting to be depicted in just the media. They're seen as, well, the movie said that they were, like, not very good friends, and they fought each other, and, like, maybe they found a way at the end, but they're still not too nice. Like, I don't really like that Batman guy, well, I don't really like that Superman guy. Those films are very poor adaptations of both of those heroes. Because those two are exactly that, heroes. But I will one day go on a tangent about the Man of Steel film. And I certainly have plenty to say about how those movies handled Batman. So that's not exactly what I want to touch on. But so a few important things that I do need to touch on is how did we get here? How is it that our primary depiction is starting to become that Superman and Batman are enemies? And I have naturally a lot of the things to show as to how we got there. So for one, like the Injustice stuff.
We were friends once, Clark.
It's the only reason you're still alive.
Thought it was because I beat you.
Like I said, an incredible story in itself, and, you know, great concept for a game. But when we keep seeing this kind of stuff, so like it started with, you know, like Dark Knight Returns, that's one thing, for instance.
Clark! This is between you and me.
We don't have to do this.
Sure we do.
Which naturally led eventually to this Batman v Superman movie, which we'll talk about that another time. Movie's not good. Everyone knows the movie isn't good. That's fine. It's whatever. We'll get to that another time. But because of that and how the movies are so heavily used to influence what we think the people see as the public image of these characters, it warps what they really are. Because those films wanted to make a film about, you know, our heroes duking it out because that would get people to come see the film. And we did the same thing with Civil War at the exact same time. And like I said, I do enjoy seeing our heroes fight each other. Everyone likes that. It's so cool. It's like taking all of your action figures and smashing them together. Why wouldn't that be fun? But the thing is that can't be the only way they see each other. Because while sure, we saw Iron Man and Captain America duke it out, you knew that there was a struggle there, but deep down they were friends, and that they always were going to be. They were going to have each other's back when the time came, and they did. They came back together in Endgame and reunited and they became a stronger team because of it. So that it's important to have that backstory to be like, look, they had been through a lot already, but they saw a difference. They came to a disagreement, which when you are, you know, the titans that you are, your superheroes, especially like the top ones of your brand, you're going to, when you have differences, they're going to be extremes. And Batman and Superman, I cover it talk about it when in these comics that I'm covering it right now, they are as different as night and day. Superman is basically a god. He has power beyond imagination of that of a normal man, incredible strength, heat vision, the ability to fly, which always is something that, you know, especially when he was, you know, just coming on the scene, that is godlike. That's crazy. So how could this normal man, Batman, ever compare to someone like that? And the thing is that he wins in people's arguments often because we are normal people. We don't have superpowers. So there's a lot of people like me that, like, when I, imagine superheroes, I typically do imagine them with powers, but I'm working on my own comic at the moment that doesn't have any superpowers in it, because that's something that I can relate to. So I find I'm interested in both, is the thing. Like, it's not like I don't like Superman just because I read Batman. There's not a war to be had between the two. There's not a side to choose. It's just, do they tell a good story, and are you able to relate to it in any way? And if you aren't, that's okay. I mean, the thing is like, we like to relate to Batman because he doesn't have any superpowers, but I also don't have billions of dollars and a ton of martial arts training. So it's certainly fantasy alongside his side of this as well. It's not like I can just go be Batman, because I can barely afford my apartment. I can't go travel the world. I can't go learn every martial art that there is to learn. I can't go learn all of these other new skills and become a brilliant detective. I can't. I know that. And I can't do that just as much as I can't fly or pick up a car above my head or push a planet. Like, both of those things to me personally are equally impossible. So they're just, but so another thing is Superman. So like, everyone sees Superman as like this god, but Superman also sees Batman as like this unstoppable creature, where he always has the right gadget for something. He always has a plan. He always has a way out. He always knows what's going to do. Because arguably, you could say that Batman is more plot-proof than Superman. Superman's supposed to be able to have the power to take on anything, but he gets his butt kicked left and right all the time. He absolutely does. But like, how often does Batman lose? And like, when the argument comes up for like who would beat Superman or Batman, a lot of people pick Batman. And like, perfect example.
Stay down! If I wanted it, you'd be dead already.
That's my point. Neither of them want to kill each other. So, does it matter who would win? I mean, sure, it's a fun subject, it's a fun topic to talk about. And I love, comparing, like, who do you think would win in a fight? Like, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have those talks and those discussions, but I'm saying that you shouldn't, just because you think Batman's better, doesn't mean that you have the right to dump on someone who thinks that Superman would win. That's, what's important is that we're all bonding over a media that we all care about. Comics are important to me, and if you're watching this, I bet that they're important to you. And even if you don't read as many comics, you just have seen the films, you need to understand, if you've just seen the films, you're not familiar with the source material. The source material has decades and decades of stuff behind it, and growth these characters have gone through. So it's just, if you don't have a whole conception of who these characters are, it's hard for you to have actually a solid opinion. That doesn't mean that you can't like Batman more. That's okay. It's okay for you to like Superman more. It's okay for you to pick a side, but it's not okay for you to hate on the other for choosing the other. And that's not exactly what I think people are doing, but it's what we're leading towards with keeping them separate as possible enemies. That's not what Superman and Batman represent. They represent the best of us in different ways. Superman is a god trying his best to be human, and Batman is a human doing his best to be a god. And both of those things are admirable, because all that they do is to protect people like us. And they have the utmost respect for each other because they know that's what the other is doing. Superman may not agree with Batman's broody tactics and how violent he can be, but he understands that he doesn't have the power to handle his problems any other way. So he has to work with his own skills. And it's the same reason that Superman can't get someone to talk sometimes because he knows that everyone sees him as the big blue Boy Scout. No one wants to be on the receiving end of a punch, but they know that that punch isn't going to kill them. So there's, ups and downs. But at the same time, Batman wishes that, he could catch a plane that's falling on top of Gotham. But at the end of the day, he's not going to be able to. It's something that Superman can do. And that's why they're so important to be friends, because they bring out the best in each other and keep the worst at bay. And that's something that we talk about. It's something that I talk about in this comic that I'm covering. So if you haven't been checking out my Batman Superman series, please do. There's 6 parts to it. And even when you're done watching my videos, I highly encourage you to go read them. Because if you have ever had the talk about who would win, Batman or Superman, or who is better, Batman or Superman, and you haven't read this comic, I highly, highly recommend that you do. Because it dives so deep into how the two of them see each other in their own mind, and how much respect but fear they have of the other. And it's the kind of thing of Superman and Batman being friends is important, not just to me, but to the comic book media is as a whole. So I just wanted to talk about that because it's just something that's been coming up more and more lately. And with me covering this comic, it was something that I couldn't stop thinking about, and I needed to vent about it. So thank you for listening to my rant. I hope that we all both like Superman and Batman in some degree. It's okay if you never go pick up a Superman comic when you're done, and it's okay if you think that Batman is too overdone, you never want to touch another one of his things again. It's okay. But I hope that you can find some I don't know. I don't know what I wanted out of this. I just needed to talk about it, I guess. So I like Superman and I like Batman. And even I definitely read more Batman than I do Superman. But there's a lot of reasons for that. But whichever one you read, whichever one you watch, whichever one you admire, I hope that you can find some way to like the other one in some form or way. And if you need things to recommend for versing yourself in the other that you haven't been as, attached to, please reach out. I can certainly help. So thank you for watching. I don't know how long this went. I haven't done a rant in a long time, and I just need to be in front of the camera, and I wanted to make a video. So there should be playlists up on the screen, which will be linking to the Batman Superman stuff if you have not been watching it. I'll leave another video that is just recommended for you, whatever YouTube thinks you'll like most. Then there is the subscription thing to this channel. I also post a lot of I post a lot of gaming stuff here, but I take it down and I move it to an archive channel because I don't want everything to I don't want to overfill this channel with too much stuff. So if you want to watch me do some gaming and stuff with a bunch of my friends and crack jokes and get into dumb situations, please go and check that stuff out. I'll just stream here, and then I back up those streams to that other channel. So you can go check out that channel as well. And if you want to talk to me about any of this or recommend any other topics to me to talk about, please join my Discord. There's a link to it down below, and you can come talk to me. It doesn't need to be a Patreon or anything like that. You can just come talk to me about whatever, and I mean, that's how it is right now at least. So please, join my community. Come talk comic books with me, especially in this quarantine time. If you need friends, I'm here to be one. Please reach out. So I will be here. All that stuff is up on the screen. Like, comment, subscribe, all that noise. YouTube, you've been on things. So yeah, thank you, and goodbye.